So before you just joined, I had asked Rohan that in case you have some question, you can ask me. He is eating right now.
Okay.
So he told, okay, I'll think. Because I told him, since I have, started the class, let's have something. So
Yes.
anyway, so you have come, so we can have some discussion. So I did not come anything, with any preparation in mind. Like I just came from college, took bath, ate something and sat. Mind is completely blank. Could not watch the last class also. Generally I watch. Could not get time.
No problem, sir. Totally understandable.
So I remember religion we had discussed. The next class also we had discussed something related to religion only. We had continued with that theme. And interestingly, we had explored law of karma
Yes.
in multiple ways. I had shared about the goat, the butcher, then also the money lender and how to dissolve that karma, and how religious understanding can help in dissolving karma and purifying the chitta and all.
Yep.
That is what I remember.
Yeah.
But
Sir, I can touch upon
I
a little bit in terms of what we discussed, sir. That way I think we can find one nice topic for our discussion today.
yeah. So I had planned to ask Saju in case he wants to ask me something, but then he's not there. So
Okay.
so yeah. So you can just maybe you make notes, right? So you can look at your notes and see whether you have something in mind.
Yeah. In fact, we also parked one particular topic, sir. You also suggested me to remind it in the upcoming class. I'll go through this one and then I'll come to that particular topic, sir. Yeah. So in the previous class, I asked, I brought up about 3 questions. One was about, the relationship. Second one was about justice and equality and how it is connected to consciousness. And third one was people do a lot of mistakes in the world, in the society, but not many people learn from others' mistakes.
I remember. Yes.
Yeah. So these 3 questions I raised, sir. Then we went from the reverse order. First, you started with the relationship, wherein you also quoted that in relationship, I is 50% and other person is another 50%.
Correct.
So we started from that, and that went on for a pretty long time, sir. It was a good conversation. And we also spoke about drawing the boundaries between the relationship. So many times we as humans, we fail to draw the boundaries. We struggle because of the conflict between drawing the boundaries versus not understanding the space.
We encroach upon other people's life
Yep.
space, and we also allow them to encroach our life space. Creates bitterness or misunderstanding. Yeah.
Right, sir. And
also disappointment because other person may not listen to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we also spoke about so the feeling for love becomes attachment, and we identify a lot with the other person. So that is why it becomes too complex to draw the line in the relationship. And people also believe that their happiness lies with others.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we also spoke about the duty towards the relationship. And then we picked up a beautiful context, which is the art of parenting.
Art of parenting.
Yeah. So we spoke about the relationship between parent and a child, and segregating that between logical and rational, and how to upbring a child. Neti concept, which you also discussed. And we also spoke about...
Which concept?
Neti, sir. Remove everything in the divinity. Neti.
Yeah.
And then we spoke about 4 important concepts in parent and child relationship: freedom, discipline, love,
and wisdom.
Yes, and wisdom. Right, sir.
And I also shared that in relationship, relation between parent-child is a little bit different category of a relationship, because there I cannot say I am 50%, he is 50%, because child is not yet mature.
Yeah.
So we have to take a little bit of more responsibility for the child's development. So before the child becomes an adult, we have to take that responsibility on behalf of the child to guide the child.
Right.
Because of child's immaturity. Once child develops fully as a blossom consciousness, gains wisdom, then we give him autonomy or her autonomy to live their life, because they have become an adult, in their understanding. But for other relationships, we have to remember that we are only 50%.
Right, sir.
So in a way, parent-child relationship is an exception to this principle. So I had shared that one also, I remember. Okay.
Yes. You shared a few examples of Rohan. How did you train him?
Yeah, I gave my personal example, yes.
Yeah. And you also gave the examples of differentiate between person's worth versus the behavior and give feedback.
Yeah, it was an important point, shared by Carl Rogers,
Correct.
one of my favorite psychologists. He found it very important to draw the line between the person and the person's behavior or person's understanding. So understanding or behavior may be a little bit wanting as of now, but then that is because of lack of maturity. But the person intrinsically has worth. Being human, you have intrinsic worth. So that we should not, lose sight of when we relate to people, right? Often what happens, when someone, doesn't behave in a proper way, we tend to disregard the person itself.
Yeah.
As, but that distinction gets blurred generally for most people. But as we gain awareness, we understand that the person is separate from the behavior and the thought process. So, in a way, thought process can be improved through education, through training, through exposure, life experiences. But the person intrinsically is worthy. That's what.
Yep. And we also spoke about the need hierarchy, sir, was the safety and safety, love, entertainment, pleasure, and knowledge in 4 different phases. Within safety, we broken down that into physical safety, emotional safety, and you also gave the example of a child clinging to his or her mother in a new environment until the child gets comfortable with a new environment. It doesn't come out of mother's hands, and once child knows that it's a safe environment, it will come automatically. So which becomes safety becomes the first one, and then love, and then entertainment or pleasure, which is the core human need. And we also spoke about the knowledge. And we also spoke about the more reptilian behavior in humans versus human behavior, like how the collective conscious or unconscious, what we have discussed in theories of personality. So that came into play, how snakes and lizards, all these creatures would behave. So, when a person, so this example came in terms of how a fetus is grown in mother's womb.
Yeah. How it develops. So first the fish brain grows,
Yes.
then the amphibian brain, then the reptilian brain, then the mammalian brain. And in mammalian brain, humans have a very highly developed cerebral cortex or neocortex, and the forehead area, this front area. So this needs to be developed more and more through thinking and through more and more life experiences. So we know from modern science that there are 100 billion neurons in the brain of a human. And these 100 billion neurons, they represent tremendous, in fact, infinite potential for knowledge and learning and growth. So modern neurological sciences know this. So when we develop a new skill, for example, some patterns get formed between neurons, and these patterns, as we practice more and more, they get solidified because of a substance called myelin. That myelin gets released in the brain, and slowly that pattern is layered over with a sheath of myelin. So as you practice more and more, the myelin sheath becomes more and more solidified, and so the new pattern, which represents a certain skill, becomes your strength, something that you can do almost automatically. For example, car driving as a skill, when you are learning new, you are forced to pay conscious attention. But as you learn more and more, you become more proficient. This myelin sheath gets solidified on the car learning or car driving pattern. It's a new pattern you are creating in your brain. So when you're driving car for the first time, certain neurons get connected in the brain. Certain new neurons get connected in a new manner.
Okay.
So it's a new pattern.
Right.
But then as you keep driving, this new pattern, brain understands that this is important for you.
Right.
So it needs to preserve this, and also brain wants to avoid spending too much effort for the same thing. So once brain understands that this skill is important for you because you're coming and everyday driving, then what it happens, starts to release, it starts to release myelin. And that myelin, kind of solidifies this neural pattern. So these neurons become locked in a certain pattern to one another. So the moment the next time you start to drive the car, this pattern gets activated automatically.
Okay.
And it's like, as we walk on the grass, initially there is only grass, but as we keep walking again and again, a footpath is created.
Right, sir.
Something similar happens in the brain also. So, though the new skill becomes, acquired strength.
Yeah.
So this also explains why some people have talent for something which is unexplainable. Even small kids, they display ability to learn certain things much faster.
Yeah.
Some kids learn much faster than the rest of the batch.
Correct.
So one reason could be that they already had a pattern, in store in their subconscious mind or unconscious mind somewhere, and it got activated very quickly. But in this lifetime, when we are learning something, this is a mechanism. The neurons get activated and they get connected to one another and they start firing in a certain pattern. As we keep doing it again and again, the myelin, the substance called myelin, it gets released and gets layered over this new pattern. And then it becomes solidified, and then this new pattern becomes our strength. So in a way, this is how talent grows.
Okay.
So as you do one thing again and again, this myelin ensures that this pattern is intact, doesn't disintegrate. But if you stop practicing it for many, many years, slowly it may become rusty, and that memory of this pattern may get slightly blurred. That is why when you again start, it may take a little bit time to get in full flow.
Right, sir.
Structure is very much there, but since you're not using it for long, it kind of starts to lose its memory or efficiency or coordination over time. So this is a very important understanding, because how it is important for us to strive to make new neural connections by learning new things all the time. So more you learn things, more you grow patterns in your brain, and your ability to recognize things and understand things also grows. So I think wisdom also is perhaps one of those things which depends upon connecting lot of dots. So as you strive to learn more and more, understand more and more, you develop a certain cognitive complexity, as a result of which you are able to understand 2 plus 2 as more than 4. Your knowledge grows in a very exponential way, multifaceted way. So I think this is how maturity is a very important I think aspect of life. It represents more and more patterns in the mind which we use to understand reality.
Right, sir.
Like if someone has one or two patterns with respect to one situation, they may try only one or two methods. But if I have multiple patterns in my mind, by exposing myself to different situations, I can have access to so many different types of solutions. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, like that. So I think that is why more mature, leaders or managers are, I think, respected, because they have more resilience, because they have more expertise and more resources, mental resources, cognitive resources at their hand. I think one reason for that is this, what I just explained. More experience means more neural patterns, which are already activated and utilized by the person so many times that they're able to tackle situations much, much faster. But there is one more thing which is not explained by science is, what is called wisdom. Like, how at a certain time or certain stage of your career, suddenly things fall in place, at one go. Someone like, let's say, like, Warren Buffett or Gandhi or, Abraham Lincoln, Mandela, someone like that, or J.R.D. Tata, how they are able to, suddenly become so mature that virtually every problem that they face, they're able to solve. That is a great mystery, I think, which maybe deserves research in brain science. I have never read or come across an answer for this.
Yeah.
That maybe even these people, if you see still young age or some age, they are showing some flashes of immaturity. But suddenly at some point of time, we suddenly see them at age 40, 45. Suddenly everything falls in place and they start to behave in a very, very wise and sage manner. Abraham Lincoln is a fascinating story. Till early 50s, he was failing so many times in so many things. And then a time came when he was the most popular and most capable leader in America. Right. So what
Yeah.
happened to him? Maybe those failures, those experiences somehow shaped his brain But that is one area of brain science which I have never, I think it has not yet been understood so far. That
Correct.
what happens inside the brain,
Mhm.
that at some stage someone suddenly matures to a different level. There's a quantum jump that people are yet to explore. This skill development, we know how it develops. But from the skill development stage to suddenly the wisdom stage, the transition, how it happens, it's a difficult thing to explain. So these are the things we discussed, right? Then what justice? I had answered something. I don't remember what I had answered.
Yeah, sir. In fact, it was a pretty brief answer since we were running towards the end of the session. So you connected Saturn as a god, and there is nothing called injustice. And you also said that abstract. It's abstract law of karma, is what you also quoted, sir.
Yeah, in a way, what appears in justice today is in some way befitting because people have incurred that. They have created that karma, and the karma is coming back to them. So, like for example, why some good people are suffering, or some why some bad people are rich? This is a very classic question, no?
Mhm.
So, in a way, good people should be rewarded more by nature, and bad people should be punished more by nature. But then, law of karma is the answer given by the ancient rishis, that maybe the person running a good phase in this lifetime has earned that by doing some good actions in the previous lifetime, and that is what is fructifying right now.
Mhm.
And a good person experiencing a bad phase is basically experiencing a bad karma from the past.
Mhm.
So it is not as if he is being punished for good behavior. He is experiencing the negative effects of some bad karma that he has done in the past.
Mhm.
So in Sanatan Dharma, we believe in the long, lifespan of the soul, very long lifespan of the soul, where we have taken repeated births. So that is how the injustice problem is taken care of. That in fact there is nothing unjust. It is the law of karma operating or playing itself out. But since we don't know from where this, series of events are originating, unfortunate incidents happening in a good person's life, for example, we don't know the root cause, no, that from where it is originating. That is why, to our limited vision, it seems it's unjust.
Mhm.
Because the neighbor who is a corrupt fellow is having a very good run in life, and this honest officer in the same department is having a sudden, set of setbacks, series of setbacks. It happens. I have also seen many times.
Yeah.
And I used to wonder when I was a student earlier, 30 years, 25 years ago. But now I am not saying that I really know what I am saying is right or wrong, but this is the answer rishis have given. I am in a way repeating their answer.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not as if I am able to see the past connection of the current set of events. It's not possible for me.
Mhm.
But this is what I have read, and I have taken it on faith. Because people who are telling this are of a very high stature. People like Amma and such people are telling that what you are experiencing today is because of past karma. Then we accept it because the people who are telling are so highly advanced than me, and I have received so much of their guidance that I trust their judgment and their knowledge. And that's also natural, I think, and that's also important because this is what a culture does to you, right? When you belong to a culture has certain beliefs and certain values. So those beliefs and values I also integrate into my system. Now, since our culture, Sanatan culture, is based upon the insights of the very, very evolved sages and rishis, so this is what they have taught. So we accept them on faith. Then we explore subjects like astrology, palmistry, etc., like I did for my own benefit. So I found that yes, it is there. I mean, it is a fact that there is a horoscope, and it is a fact that different planets come in a certain series, Mahadasa series, Mahadasa, Antardasa, you know that. And we know that in a good Mahadasa, good Antardasa, good things happen, even to bad people. And in a bad Mahadasa, bad Antardasa, even a good person suffers, bad fortune. So we know that from astrology, we know that yes, these things happen. Planets or grahas in the sky, they affect us based upon their configuration at time of birth, and also based upon their temporary movement across the sky. They affect us. As they move in the sky, they affect our destiny. So being an astrologer, I also know, you also know that.
Yes.
So now, is that random? It is not random. So that is where the mystery comes, that how it is possible that this nature is able to manage so many aspects, diverse aspects at the same time. So there are stars and planets in the sky. There is a child taking birth on earth. There are two different people who came together as husband and wife. The third person, the child is coming through them. So you see two people on earth, a third person child coming, and the stars in the planet, how they become connected to produce one destiny, and then the destiny plays out over 100 years. And we are saying that this is not random, this is connected to this child's past, some birth. That is a very, very amazingly labyrinthine connection. And it tells, I can't say that I have seen the back, 1,000 years, which tells me why horoscope is like that. I have not. But when I have seen hundreds of horoscopes, I can see that yes, there are certain, certain principles which are operating, which are invisible to our eyes, but they seem to be operating. Like any science in astrology, also very intuiting and making drawing inferences. So we are not clairvoyant, hence not able to see the karmic connection.
Mm-hmm.
But it is believed that masters like Amma, they are able to actually see the karmic connection, as in not only the horoscope, the real events which happen. Like someone, I remember one story from Sai Charitra. I will share it here. So it is about Shirdi Sai Baba. There is a book called Sai Charitra.
Yeah.
In that book, there is one story. Story means anecdote from Sai Baba's life. So there is one person who is very close to Sai Baba,
Mm-hmm.
and he brings his brother-in-law from Mumbai to him, Shirdi, to meet him. And the brother-in-law is suffering from a very, very severe disease of the lungs, maybe tuberculosis, something similar to that. And doctors in those times are not able to cure, and they have given up on him, and they believe that he may not live more than a few months. He will die of, let's say, tuberculosis. That's the situation. So this brother-in-law, whose sister this person has married, he is concerned about his brother-in-law, so he brings him to Sai Baba. And this person is very close to Sai Baba, very close devotee. Now, Sai Baba refuses to entertain this person, chases him away or doesn't pay attention to him, even though he's trying his level best to attract attention. And those days, Sai Baba did not have many people around him, very few people only were surrounding him. But somehow he was ignoring him repeatedly. Then this person, the relative who had brought this person, repeatedly, requested Sai Baba to help. Then ultimately Sai Baba uttered something that, this fellow is a murderer. Okay. I can't help him like that. Anyways, he besieged a lot. So ultimately he said, fine, okay. Then what happened? This person who was suffering from tuberculosis, in the night time, when Baba said yes, no, on that day, in the night time, he saw a dream. He saw a dream that someone is buried till the chest in the ground. Okay. And no, I mean, he's tied to the ground.
Okay.
He's tied to the ground. He's lying down and he's tied to the ground. And one horse cart is coming running, and that runs over the chest of this person.
Okay.
And this person, over whose chest this cart runs, is his victim.
Okay.
So this person who is seeing the dream is seeing himself as a zamindar or some landlord, whose money this person has not returned.
Okay.
Or something like that, or some enmity related to property. And as a revenge or as a whatever, criminal behavior, something, he is trying to punish this fellow by doing this to him. Because he had power, he was a helpless fellow. So he forced him to the ground and, trampled him under a horse cart. And when he did that, he felt tremendous pain in his chest, and he vomited blood, and he woke up and he was panting, breathlessly. And after that, his illness started to subside, and he became all right after some time. So this is one very powerful example, which again tells you that why Sai Baba ignored. First of all, because he had seen how heinous a crime he had done. So the experience that he was going through, where he was going to lose his life, because of tuberculosis. It was a karmic, payment for that crime. He had killed one person, like that person died, no?
Mhm.
On whose chest the horse cart went.
Yeah.
This person died because of immense pain in the chest area.
Right.
Right. So that punishment is being meted out to him by nature. So nature is killing him slowly because of immense disease of the chest, which will kill him, very slowly, and a very painful death he will have. But now you see this example. In what way is it unjust? If this is true, how is it unjust?
Yes. It will not be.
In this lifetime, he seems like a decent person, working in some government job with a very good family. He has not done any significant crime in this lifetime. Looks like a gentleman. He's a gentleman actually. But his past life was hiding this horrendous sin. So that is why Amma also says that often people ask me about past life, but I don't talk because it's a very, if you knew about your past life, you will not be able to live this life happily. What will you do if you know that your father-in-law or your husband or your sister-in-law is someone with whom you have a very tremendously negative karma from the past? How will you live under the same roof? You know?
Right.
So it's a very strange thing. So again and again we keep coming to karma. But this is how life is. Karma is for real and it is there. I remember one book which I can suggest to people. Many people know about it. Many Lives, Many Masters. Maybe you may have heard about this book,
Yes,
Bryan
sir.
Weiss. Bryan Weiss. So this book is a very important book, I feel, and Bryan Weiss is a very important person, I think, because in modern times, someone from West discovered past life, in their clinic, psychiatric clinic. Bryan Weiss was a psychiatrist and he was working in the psychology department of Yale University for many years, and he was a leading researcher in that area.
Mhm.
And then, in his clinic, once one person came called Catherine, and he was treating her by inducing hypnosis. And under hypnotic state, he was taking her to her childhood to find out the reasons for his various phobias. She had many phobias, like phobia of height, phobia for water, phobia for cloistered spaces. She had a lot of anxiety issues, such things, paranoid behavior. So she was getting treated for this kind of a very extremely paranoid state. So this is why he was taking him to the early childhood, because in psychoanalysis people believe that often many psychological illnesses are caused by childhood trauma.
Yes.
But when he was doing it, this lady jumped into some other lifetime, and she was telling to the doctor what she is experiencing in that other lifetime. So, like that, in different meetings, she kept going to different lifetimes, and okay, amazingly, all these lifetimes were those lifetimes which were related to the phobias that she is being treated for. And as she kept doing it, the different phobias started to subside, because in different lifetimes the roots were there for different phobias. So within a few months' time, she became all right. But in those few months to a year time, she went through 12 lifetimes. She experienced incidents from 12 lifetimes. Now this was a very, very powerful, experience he had. He tried to hide it for quite a few years, because he was scared that if I submit it to the public, I may lose my job, because he was in a modern psychology department. He doesn't believe in past life.
Right.
But then, amazingly, by synchronicity, as Jung would say, many patients started to turn up in his cabin like that. Then the next person came, then another person came, and when 4, 5, 6 such people came, and for some reason they were finding him only. That he felt that maybe nature wants me to share this new learning with the world. So he wrote this first book, Many Lives, Many Masters, based upon his experience with the first patient, Catherine. Then he wrote many other books where he shared other cases also in his experience. And his sharing this had a very, very wonderful reception by the public. The book sold thousands of copies. He became famous all over the world, so much so that the subject, it became a new subject. Which subject? Like the psychiatrist takes the patient to the earlier phase of their life and slowly helps them to jump to a previous lifetime. He mastered a technique of hypnosis where a patient is taken not only to early childhood but to a earlier lifetime. Through some technique, he is able to achieve it in many cases where there is no very strong barrier to such a regression. So he developed that technique and taught many people. So this area is called now past life regression therapy. Past life regression therapy. Bryan Weiss is the founder of this technique. And when I was interested in this, I was reading about it in some 12, 13 years back. I was trying to search for these therapies, and I found that such therapies are now in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Kochi, in many places, Mumbai, in Los Angeles, virtually all over the world in major countries. You will find these people, therapists, and all of them are inspired by the experience of Bryan Weiss. So in a way, Bryan Weiss is the pioneer of a new subject.
Right, sir.
Now it's not a part of mainstream psychology. Mainstream psychology doesn't accept it. But many trained psychologists, many trained psychiatrists who also know Freudian analysis or Jungian analysis, they are employing it, and they are trained in this. All right. So how about this one? So this is a very important research because it is a modern area, modern era research, but it verifies law of karma. Why to talk about rishis and Sai Baba and such people? Even this series of studies which you can read through these books verifies many principles of law of karma. So we can now say that law of karma has got more validity now, even from modern science. So what we feel as unjust is often having some root in the past. Maybe not this lifetime, but some other lifetime. I don't know how much it makes sense to you, but it
No,
makes.
no, sir, it makes sense to me, sir, because I have heard some of these real-time scenarios where people have gone through their past life. They were able to recollect. Even I have heard a few real-time, say somebody who died because of the accidental drone into water. Even in this lifetime, the person is scared of the huge waterfalls and all. Not the regular drinking water and all. They're fine. When the water quantity is more, that person is still scared. So I have met such people. They have shared their experience, how they feel about it. That phobias, for some reasons, I feel that, sir, it is connected to past life. Some stuff. Even I remember a couple of studies where a person who was died in the previous life through some bullet shots and all, they had the scar even in this lifetime
Yeah, yeah. I have also heard about such cases. Yeah.
in the same place.
I myself, for some reason, have a strong fear of sharp objects coming near my neck. So when I was growing up, and I often used to see my brother or other people going to the saloon and getting their themselves shaved. I had a I will when I will see them, a shiver will run on my spine, and I can never imagine someone bringing a blade near my throat.
Uh,
So for that fear, I learned to shave on my own. And even when I was shaving myself, when I will be shaving my neck area, I used to get shivers in my spine. It doesn't happen now, but even today I cannot, do it in a saloon. I have done it a few times when I was forced to, before an interview when I don't have my own shaving kit somewhere in a strange city, and when I'm caught unaware. So
but that
twice or thrice I have had to undergo that experience when someone else is saving me. But I still feel very afraid when they bring the sharp
knife near.
a knife near my throat. So this was a unexplained phenomenon for me for many many years, and I didn't know why and how I have this phobia, because this is the strongest phobia I have. Now it is not there so strong because I could remember one of my past lives in a dream. And so in this dream, I saw that I am in some vehicle or something like that, and suddenly I cannot move. In that dream, in my body, I cannot move, and suddenly someone slit my throat.
Uh,
And I woke up and I screamed and I woke up and I was really afraid and I was shivering like anything in this lifetime I'm talking about. This happened in Coimbatore when I was in Coimbatore. I saw this dream some 10, 12 years back. And after that, this fear has become much, much mild. So it seems in a certain lifetime of mine, I was murdered by slitting my throat. And that is why I had this tremendous phobia. Even now, when I'm saying this, I'm feeling a shiver a little bit. So I had lost my life in that method, by that method. Also, I have this fear of someone bringing sharp this thing near my eyes. I become very conscious and very afraid. Even if it is 2 feet away from me, or when my children are playing with sharp pointed objects, I will tell, be careful, don't bring it near your eyes. Who knows, I was blinded by a sharp weapon in the past, some past life, I don't know.
Right.
But I have this phobia. So if my throat fear was connected to such an experience, even this can be connected to some
Some
experience
other experience. Yeah.
in some other lifetime. So all these things are very fascinating. For some reason, modern people don't want to argue or discuss these things, but for those who are interested in occult areas and spirituality, for them I think these things are very fascinating.
Right, sir.
So Catherine, that person, no, she was afraid of knee deep water. She cannot enter the swimming pool, forget the ocean. So she had died in a couple of lifetimes by drowning, like that. My wife is very afraid before going to bed. She will check every door. She will lock everything. She will check 2 times, 3 times. She will pull and make sure everything is completely locked from inside. And even though there is no fear, nothing, we are living in a very safe state. Safe. No, Tamil
Society.
Nadu was safe. Campus was so safe. Kochi also very safe city. No, two sons, grown-up sons, husband, everyone is with her. Very peaceful society. Still, she will do it. And she will never open the door before she makes sure that she knows who is there. So why is she so afraid of this? Could it be that some people uh, entered her house by force and something happened in some past life?
Yeah.
I think something like that has happened in her past life. Some mob or some people, some criminals have entered the house by force and done something.
Yeah.
So such things are there. So how to? But then it's very fascinating, right?
Yeah. Those memories are still there in the chitta.
So that is why we Indians believe in past life, and that is why this discussions of karma make a lot of sense.
Right.
And we are fortunate that sages and saints have always appeared who have that power to reveal these mysteries. Like books like Sai Charitra, for example, I just told a story from Sai Charitra. There are many such stories in such books. If you read such books, your consciousness grows by leaps and bounds. I remember another case from Puttaparthi Sai Baba this lifetime. No, he was in Puttaparthi. So there was in the ashram there, in the Etimada campus, there was one lady who was a close devotee of Puttaparthi Sai Baba. So from her, I got to borrow a lot of Sai Baba literature, Puttaparthi Sai Baba literature. So I read many books. So, and I used to love these books because this will tell me a lot about different aspects of now the life as it is, not as defined by science, but as understood by our Sanatan principle. And these masters, the way they behave and guide other people, give a lot of insights to us. So there was a certain case where a certain lady was, in a relationship, with, married relationship with husband, who was a very, very, what shall I say, violent husband and very unjust in his behavior. He was favoring his mother a lot and he was exploiting his wife because of, undue influence of his mother, and the mother was not very kind, or she did not like her daughter-in-law. So as a result of that, this lady was suffering like anything, and she used to often write to Sai Baba about her sufferings and for praying for grace, help to mitigate her situation and all. And in all his letters, he will reply to him. In those days, no, he used to write physically, and the letter will go by mail, no, by post office. Those days, I'm talking, in 1970s, in those
Right,
days.
sir.
So he is replying always, and he's telling my beta, I'm always with you and such things. But he's always insisting that you don't leave your husband, and also don't misbehave with him. Give him all the respect that husband deserves, and somehow live with this phase of life, and this too shall pass. And and marriage is a very sacrosanct relationship. So sometimes she asked that, shall I quit this relationship and, apply for divorce or go to my parents' house? You know, he always replied in the negative. No, no. He told, no, marriages are made in heaven and you have to stick through this time and things will improve. Don't worry, I am there with you. But he never suggested that you come out of this relationship. And till that point of time, I used to believe that, it's good to quit a relationship if it is violating your fundamental rights, right? But this particular case, which I read, forced me to rethink my attitude. So then after that, when I connected that to my knowledge of astrology, palmistry, etc., I, I, I tended to feel that maybe, what he's telling is a deeper law, is a higher law than what the Indian constitution says or any worldly law says. So it seems that marriages are indeed made in heaven, and, it is God's decision that we are put up with some life partner and we should live through it. Then another doubt came in my mind that if that is the case, if it is divine law, then how come in some countries divorces are so frequent? Right? Because if divine will prevails all the time, then why this happens? Then again I got the answer. So I got this answer, after a few months' time, that when a natural disaster happens, like earthquake or let's say a train, falling down from the railway lines, or such things where, a lot of people die. So in such situations, everybody is not running through a market. Or if you see everyone's lifeline, who died in that accident, everyone's lifeline is not short. There are people with full-grown lifelines and no signs of any accident dying in that accident. Or if you look at their horoscope, no sign of any unnatural death
It's
at that age, indicated that age. So you cannot explain through astrology or palmistry. Still the death has happened. So why and how? Then again, when I am driving a scooter, some ant came under my scooter and died. But the ant belongs to the jungle, scooter doesn't belong to the jungle. You know what I'm saying? So the
yeah,
scooter is not God's creation.
correct.
The train is not God's creation. And the earthquake is because of artificial causes, not brought about by God. No, we are blasting the mountains and using dynamite and many unnatural things we are doing, which are kind of producing artificial events like this. So the answer I got was that there are two types of lives we are living, the humans. One is the God's nature, and other is what we have created through our interventions. So our interventions that we have made into nature, they are causing lot of upheaval in the natural processes. The law of karma is one natural process. So what humans are doing is bringing a lot of obstructions to this natural process. So divine will or divine law doesn't prevail all the time. Human interventions cause a havoc. So this is, I don't know how much believable it is. Many people may not believe it, but it's okay. That's my understanding. So, and I feel it's a correct understanding. Anyone with very deep interest can actually start researching this. You can try to find out horoscopes of people who died in a accident where mass deaths happen and just see whether it is true or not. Death will not be indicated in many horoscopes,
Absolutely, sir.
but still they died.
Yeah,
So how do you explain that? So what I'm trying to say, there is a natural law and there are exceptions to it, but exceptions do not disprove the law. Exceptions only tell us that human interventions are causing a lot of havoc, a lot of disturbances to nature's natural processes. Like climate change. This climate change is not brought about by Earth by herself. It is because of tremendous human interventions.
yeah,
So maybe Earth may have been designed by God to last or sustain human life or organic life for many many millions of years more. But maybe because of human intervention, it may come to an end much much quicker. So in a way, human intervention, obstructed the God's calculation or God's plan, whatever it is. So multiple ways. I had suggested one book, Infinite Way, I remember,
Yes, sir.
by Joel Goldsmith,
Correct.
in either last class or the previous last class. For some reason, again, his name is coming up. I don't know why it is coming up. But I don't know why I told last time, but I'm again pointing it out. It's a very important book. And I suggest this book only to very serious spiritual seekers, not to everyone.
Sure, sir.
Because it's not easy for everyone to digest what he's saying. But somehow I independently, through my inquiries, reached the same conclusion which this gentleman has reached. So when I ultimately, somehow stumbled upon this book, I was very, very happy and relieved to see that actually I'm not the only one who has reached such a conclusion. And the conclusion is that God is omnipresent and God is omnipotent and God is omniscient. This is true. But humans also have a role to play in co-creating life on earth as it is unfolding now. And why it is so? Because humans represent the highest level of consciousness on this planet. So as the consciousness evolves more and more, it gains more degrees of freedom. And this freedom is naturally given by nature because of the extra development in consciousness. So more developed consciousness has a will which is free. So when that will starts to operate freely, it may start to interfere with divine will. This is a very, very important understanding.
Right, sir.
For example, many people explain away crime and such things, disasters, as God's responsibility. That He wills it like this, what we can do. But God doesn't will it like this. So in Mahabharata, this episode where Krishna went to try and prevent the war is a very good example of what I'm saying. God's will doesn't prevail all the time. He wanted the war to be avoided. He tried but did not succeed. Why? Because another intelligent person, Duryodhan, did not agree. And Duryodhan had free will. He wanted to fight. So God could not prevent him. So both are true. God is omniscient, omnipotent, but man is also quite knowledgeable, brilliant, and quite powerful. That also is true. God's will cannot force or override human will. Like Amma can influence me, but cannot force me, even though I am her devotee or her disciple. If there are certain things she wants me to do and I don't want to do, she can't force me. Because ultimately I am free. Is it not?
Yes.
So I don't know what you understood. This is a very important point.
No, sir. I certainly understood
What
it.
you understood from this, if you can tell, it will help many other people also, because then implications also.
Yeah.
There are humongous implications of this in the way we live. So what you follow, can you share?
Absolutely, sir. Sir, I'll start from where you picked up two types of lives. You know,
Just 1 second, Raj. Huh?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, Raj.
Yeah, sir. As you explained, there are two types of lives. It is very convincing to me as well. One is the nature as it is created by God, that is God's nature. Other one is the human interventions which has been created. So if I consider the example of what you just shared, about Lord Krishna going and stopping the war, which was God's will. God doesn't want that war to happen. However, it was humans' will which wanted the war. So Duryodhana, though being intelligent, being trained on various aspects of the subjects, he wanted the war because of his free will. He wanted to exercise that. So that is where the human intervention comes into play. So though God himself is going and standing in front of him, he did not recognize God, but he wanted to overpower God's will by his own free will. When people start taking the route of their free will, which is not in the right direction, which is not in the path of the nature, God's nature, naturally the calamity will happen.
Correct.
That's my understanding, sir.
Correct. So we cannot blame God for all the ills that plague our life and that plague the planet's life. Climate change, for example, increasing crime, increasing famine, increasing hunger, increasing income inequity, you know, increasing religious intolerance or racial intolerance or exploitation of women or exploitation of poor, all that. Because if you look at nature, nature has given things in so much abundance. If we really employ our intelligence and try to solve problems, virtually every problem can be solved very quickly. Hunger is artificial problem. Deprivation of any community, any race is artificial because Earth produces food which is much, much more than what can be consumed by 8 billion or 9 billion people very easily. And we can give space to the elephants, to the lions, to the tiger, everyone. We can leave the jungles alone. We don't need all the land.
Yeah.
We can very intelligently live and we can allow other life forms to live. And we can live on a very green and very beautiful earth for many, many millions of years. There is no problem at all. Seriously, there is no problem at all.
Yeah.
So much so that there is a very powerful example I have often shared in the classroom also when teaching ethics. Let's say that a certain species is there of plant or some fruit. You cut down every tree, but only one tree if you let remain and don't cut it. You can again regrow a whole forest of the same tree.
Right, sir.
It can bring back millions of trees. But if you cut the last tree and destroy the last seed and then blame God for that species becoming extinct, then I think you're a madman.
Absolutely.
And then complain, I can't get mangoes to eat. I have read so much about mangoes. It was the king of fruits. God has been so cruel to me. So it is very, very, mad statement. God had made the mango, had given it to you lovingly, but you destroyed it completely. It's like that. God has given us air to breathe, water to drink. If you poison all the air, all the water, then you can't blame God. So this is a very, very important thing to understand. For believers, disbelievers anyways have no interest in all these topics. But those who believe in God, they should understand God and they should understand themselves and this mutual relationship between God and us. That is where Dharma comes, and understanding of Dharma comes. Dharma is a set of principles. I mean, there are many interpretations. I mean, many layers of meaning to Dharma. One important connotation of Dharma, as I understand, is the way nature works. So the natural principles, the way they work, sustaining life everywhere. So the nature has designed itself in such a way that everything, every life form can get sustained on earth for many, many millions of years. I'm not saying that earth is never going to end or never going to, go through a situation where every life form disappears and earth goes by. No, what they call ice age. Ice age also comes. But ice age comes once in many millions of years. But we are hastening it through our actions. That we need not do. No?
Correct.
Let's say next ice year, I don't know. I mean, ice age is after, 200,000 years later, and we are bringing it in 200 years. So we are fools, no? So what I'm trying to say, I don't know what is the planetary life cycle, and I don't know what are the ice age cycle in the planet, etc. I don't specialize in that subject, but I know enough to understand that we are hastening many things unnecessarily. So we are intervening or making interventions in the nature's plan as it is meant to unfold. So that is adharma. So dharma is understanding this, how nature has created different life forms and how it sustains different life forms, and we obey these principles, we obey these laws. So that is one way I understand dharma. Like, if I misbehave with you, it is natural that you will not like me. So there is a dharma of relationship. So if I follow that dharma, which is to give you respect, to treat you well, to take care of your needs, then it is natural that this relationship will prosper.
Yeah.
And if you also reciprocate, if you follow the correct principles, this relationship will prosper. So like that, everything has a dharma. For a relationship, we have a dharma. For sustaining life on this earth, we have a dharma. For upholding the peace in society, we have our dharma of citizenship, like that. So everything has a dharma. And in this understanding, dharma means the set of principles. If we follow, it will support everyone. It will nourish everyone. It will nurture everyone. It will protect everyone. Right. And this was a very important aspect of training or education in ancient India. People were taught different crafts, different skills for their livelihood, but dharma was also taught. What is your dharma as a son, as a carpenter, or as a IT specialist, or as a manager, as a woman, as a wife, as a father, as a child, everything, as a teacher, as a king. Dharma was a very important topic. In Mahabharata, I think out of 12 volumes, 5 or 6 volumes are dedicated to discussion of dharma only. Especially Bhishma Parva, where uh, Yudhishthira is advised by Krishna to go and learn the art of kingship from the greatest statesman on the planet, which is Bhishma, because he will pass away today. So no, Yudhishthira goes and studies with Bhishma. And Bhishma teaches him, and what he teaches, is almost half of the Mahabharata. People don't know about this. Out of 12 volumes, almost 5.5 to 6 volumes is nothing but Bhishma, which has nothing to do with the war. It's only lessons given by a older, statesman to a person who will become king now. And such a beautiful treatise it is on the art of kingship, the art of governance. I think every parliamentarian should be taught this. Every member of parliament, every MLA, every minister should be taught Bhishma, what it says. I have read only bits and pieces, not the whole thing. I wish I could study the whole thing, but then paucity of time, because whatever I learned despite my normal career like everyone, because of my sheer interest. But Indian tradition is so rich that we need to learn more and more, and even uncover more and more. There are many other books which we don't even know about, right? So we had a tradition which goes back to thousands of years, and we had a system of education spread all over the country. So you can imagine this country would have produced quite a lot of knowledge, right? And it was Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. Brain was much more bright in those days. Body was much more strong. So people would obviously go deeper into life than we are capable of today. Anyways, that is my two pennies worth of perspective on how I feel about modern education and ancient education. But one thing I will tell, that the Joel Goldsmith fellow is a great revolutionary, because whether in the East or in the West, I have never read anyone writing this what he had written in infinite way. And this was my understanding also, and how I read the understanding is not through spiritual experiences which he has, because he is a far more advanced person than me. Okay. But I reach these conclusions based upon my very careful observation of life. Because when I am riding a scooter and an ant gets crushed, I don't have the intention to crush the ant.
Yes.
The ant doesn't have the intention to get crushed by the scooter. And nature did not create the scooter. So I reached the conclusion that this ant getting crushed by my scooter is not part of the divine plan. It's an accident.
Yes.
It's an accident. God is not responsible for it. Nature is not responsible for it. And Rajiv also is not responsible for it. It's just an accident. Because sincerely, I have thought, very sincerely, shall I stop using the scooter? I cannot stop using scooter. Shall I stop using my car? I cannot stop using my car. When Amma goes on India tour, she goes on a car. A whole entourage goes on many buses. And it is too difficult to believe that they will not kill even one single ant throughout their journey of India. Now, I will be a mad believer in Amma if I were to believe that. I don't think it is possible.
Yes.
Even if she is God, it is not possible.
Right.
So this conclusion I reached, that God is not a micromanager who is paranoid about people violating his ordained will.
Rules, yeah.
So and when I reached this conclusion, it gave me an immense sense of relief from guilt or anxiety about the world. I don't know how to express. I reached some very great, place in my heart where a great burden was lifted from my head. So I reached this conclusion that it helped me to become less of an idealist and more of a realist. Idealism is a very painful place to live in, because you feel a lot of guilt and lot of unnecessary responsibility. You feel the whole world's burden is on your shoulder. But it's not true. As one single person, I can do only that much. And that is a great relief to understand. That is a great relief to understand. For example, like even though I'm teaching, and let's say that 100 people are there or 50 people are there in the class, and only 2 people are there, 3 people are interested. Now, that doesn't speak about me.
Speak about the students and their interest.
Maybe not even about the students. It speaks about the times. Many things are there. Because I can't blame the students also, because they also are a product of the time. The influences upon them. So, it helps you to become very stoic and very, very sattvic, in the sense that you don't get affected by the surroundings. You do your bit. You do your dharma. So in one class, Sachit was saying darkness is immense, then what is the use of one single lamp? But then I feel lamp doesn't think about that. Lamp simply produces light. You become like that. Your nature becomes like that. More and more you become like that. I relate that to Shiva. Shiva is like that. No, Lord Shiva.
Yeah.
He is like that. He has smeared the samsan ashes on his body, and he's engaged in his sadhana. He doesn't worry about the world, right? I will not say doesn't care about the world, doesn't worry about the world. But then, when he has become enlightened, the family of ghosts and goblins and all are with him. They are traveling with him, and he's taking them along with him. What does it tell you? It tells you a very compassionate God. Shiva is a very compassionate God. No, he cares for every lost soul. But when he was doing the sadhana, he had forgotten the world. But when he has reached the Kailash or whatever he has reached, he has brought everyone to his family. When he was ascending the mountain of consciousness, he was totally focused upon himself. But when he awakened fully, he has taken everyone in his fold. That is what it tells me. So he is not a judgmental God. So I don't know if you are able to follow from where I am coming.
Yeah, I'm able to follow it, sir.
Like if I am trying to teach, it's very important to not become bitter if people don't listen or if they don't have interest. Because if I have become bitter, I have lost what I gained, which is no happiness and peace and wisdom and love. That is why liberation is supposed to be so difficult, because we are so attached to outside and we are so attached to controlling things that we may lose our own peace and equanimity and our own happiness in trying to correct other people or help other people. So it's a very important distinction which I'm trying to make, that you can live your life according to your ideals, your dharma. You can try to perfect your consciousness as much as you like. But at the same time, you should be able to remain happy. If you want to bring a daughter also along with you, or a wife also along with you, or a friend also along with you, they may not like to come. Then what will you do? Will you become upset and angry with them? Or will you feel lonely and go join them in their ignorance? What will you do?
So
or is there a third way? Which is I'm trying to hint at. If you follow what I'm saying, I don't know. I would like to listen to you. I have shared what I had in my mind.
Sure. Sir, in the example of Lord Shiva, sir, so though there are two aspects of it. One, Shiva wants to go to that highest level and focus on himself first, then achieve, then bring everyone together. So that's a beautiful concept. If we even apply to our humans as well, most of us do that. While we have to work hard, we focus on ourselves first. Then we find a job, and then we try to settle down everyone in the family. I think that's the dharma Lord Shiva is teaching, and even we as sincere career-oriented people who wants to take care of the family, we follow. So that's a dharma. So when Lord Shiva is going there, and if Parvati or Lord Ganesh, if they do not want to join, Shiva is not upset. He's still pursuing what he has to do because he is focused on his duty at his highest level of consciousness. And then he knows that once he goes there, settles down, and achieves his meditation and anything that he wants to do, he knows that he can bring everyone together. If people are not joining him, still Shiva is happy, and he's not going to lose what he has gained, or he will not regret for what he has achieved.
Yeah, so like from my experience, I can tell you that the world and the people in the world are generally ignorant. It's called avidya, right? So I have said earlier. So avidya is very, very strong in Kali Yuga. Avidya is very, very strong in Kali Yuga. That's why it's called Kali Yuga, no? So it is expected. What we are seeing is expected.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to get upset about. But at the same time, in such a age, if someone really strives with all their might to grow, the light can grow very fast in them. Because of this tremendous Kali Yuga, God is also very attentively listening to everyone. That even if one person is somewhere calling out, the grace comes very rapidly. In this day and age, grace comes very, very rapidly. Because anyone who is trying to follow the path of Dharma is very rare. That is one. Second is that we should know the method of approaching God. And we should also know where He is. Right? And what it means to become more dharmic, what it means to become more enlightened, and also being very realistic about our effort and our results. All these things put together, self-love, also this equanimity when people question you and your decision to go on a spiritual path. All these qualities you need. And in all these qualities, one quality which is very important, which helps us achieve these other qualities, is wisdom, in my experience. So for example, like how I could become like this, often my relatives often, are surprised by how I turned out. People are surprised, like, how I'm so stubborn and I could stick to this through thick and thin for so many years. And, so I will tell you one thing, so the main reason is this discrimination, like, and this power of observation. So I don't know whether I shared with you or not, in one of my discussions with a faculty at IIM Calcutta, I had once shared that, 2 plus 2 is 4. In a society where everyone is counting things. When you are counting things, 2 plus 2 will become 4. But when do you count? You count when things are scarce. When scarcity prevails, you are forced to count because you want to save and preserve. But where abundance is there, people will not count. Mothers don't count how many chapatis the son or the daughter has eaten, because they are not trying to save anything at that time. The mother's heart is abundant. So I had shared that 2 plus 2 become 4 in a counting society, and 2 plus 2 can become 22 in a sharing society. So it depends, even mathematics is influenced by, whether you are a sharing society or a counting society.
Counting society.
So, this professor, he was very surprised, and he told it's a very important idea you are sharing, that, you should share it, more publicly. So, you know, what do you say about this thought?
So it's a very unique one in terms of counting versus sharing. So, sir, I have seen some people, though they are not rich, however, when they have a large gathering, they are the ones who will just go and first make the payment from their pocket. Of course, they are not rich, but now I see that abundance, not in terms of the richness, because they want to see happiness in everyone versus more attached to money. So the moment you gave that example of counting versus sharing, I could see such people, coming to my mind, and giving more preference to people happiness versus counting.
Why I shared this thought is because, like I was telling about the observation, power of observation. So, like, I remember I was very small, standard 2 or something. There was a teacher who used to teach mathematics. So my fascination with mathematics, and this type of unusual thinking is dating back to my childhood. I've always wondered about these things. So, I went to this teacher and told, sir, you say 1 plus 1 is 2, right? He said, yes. You have any doubt about it? I said, no, I don't doubt, but I have many unusual thoughts. I have different thoughts. I have thought of possibility where 1 plus 1 becomes different things. He says, okay, show me. So I told sir 1, and you write 1 next to it, it becomes 11. He said, wow, very good. What else? I said, sir, you say 1 and then 1. So in Roman it becomes 10. It is very good. What else? Then I said, sir, 1 and 1 becomes 0. Like that. He says that, you don't think too much. You learn what I'm teaching you. Okay. So, but such thoughts have been with me since childhood, and even today, I share these things. So I was a child yesterday, and today I'm a philosopher. But my point is that I have, I'm not saying these things in a trivial manner. I have put a long thought to these things. So, when 1 and 1 becomes 0, what it means? In a warring society, one will obliterate the other. They both will die and kill each other, smash each other. They will become 0 only, In a fighting, quarreling society, 1 plus 1 is 0. In a sharing society, 1 plus 1 is 11. Right, like that. So, what is wrong in that thought? So, my conclusion is that mathematics follows philosophy. Philosophy is what? Worldview. The way you look at life. That is philosophy, right? Your belief system, your paradigm about life, that is philosophy. Isn't it? So in astrology, 9th house is Dharma, right?
Yes.
Or big thinking, right? And 2nd house is counting.
Right.
Am I right? Hoarding.
Yeah.
You tell me which is a better approach, holistic understanding or counting and excluding people from your family, kutumba, right?
Yes.
Your kutumba, your resources, so you are excluding the whole world, But when I am Jupiter, I am thinking from the large perspective, which I am doing right now. I am including the whole society, whole world, whole cosmos, which is Dharma, 9th of Dharma also. You see how beautifully things add up. Am I telling randomly? Tell me. I mean, I keep telling I'll teach astrology, never start, because it's such a vast understanding I have that I don't know where to begin. And how to begin, because there are millions of YouTube channels which teach astrology in a very different way, but I have a different astrology in mind. The astrology which I have in mind made me enlightened actually, because I started understanding the whole setup by God, whichever way it was available to me, and I went deeper, meditated, and then today I am seeing that, oh my God, everything is possible to explain through astrology. To my understanding, there is no greater subject than astrology. Why? Because it's God's mind. Jyotisha. Isha has thought like that. Isa is Ishwar. Everything that you are doing in life and you will do in life, I can explain through astrology. Right now, man is living in Virgo and Scorpio. Virgo, Mercury exalted, Scorpio, plumbing to depth, what you call research. Going to deeper and deeper levels of material reality, finding new and new scientific principles is what is your research of the Western world. The Mars and digging into the earth, right? You discover new scientific principles and you tame the river, you tame the ocean, you produce electricity, you produce a spaceship, you produce a number of things, right? And what is Virgo? Careful observation, careful experimentation, careful measurement, trying to control. What is Virgo? Sixth house, day-to-day job of the working class. Masses work in factory, office, that is Virgo, right? Am I right, Raj? You know all these things, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Sixth house. And Saturn. What is Saturn? Organization, Makar, 10th house. Organization. The company where you work, the company where I work is Saturn. 10th house gives the job. My boss. He controls me, I am the laborer. Boss 10th house, laborer 6th house, together do research 8th house. Why? To produce more and more control over nature. Why? We can produce more wealth, 2nd house. Right? And more hard work you put 10th house, more you get salary. Your day-to-day income, right? So what that is the game you are playing. On the whole planet you are playing. But then there are other zodiac signs, other houses, other big people there, no? Who have not yet spoken. For example, Uranus is neglected in Vedic astrology. Uranus is neglected in Vedic astrology. Don't talk about Uranus. Uranus is what? Uranus is Varun Dev, who rules the cosmic waters. He is the god of creativity. When Saturn dies, no, he takes birth. In the Western mythology, Uranus took birth by tearing apart his father's belly. He killed his father from inside his belly. Okay. He tore apart Saturn, because when he tore apart the belly, Saturn died. Uranus came. What is the story? Is it a real person killing a real person? No, it's a principle. Saturn means order, discipline, boss, government, organization, right? And Uranus says, you go to hell. Why you are telling me where to work, how to work, what to do? Why you are setting your laws and rules and constitution of India? I have my brains. I can find out on my own what is good, what is not. That is creativity. So Uranus is creativity. He conquers time, he conquers death, he conquers all the laws, he goes beyond all principles, becomes Brahma. He himself is a creator. He says, I will create my own universe. You go to hell. You see. Absolute fearlessness, absolute faith in his own creativity, in his own brilliance. Then, when you see such a person, you call him a genius. No, Einstein is a Uranus for the Newtonian physics. Are you following what I'm saying? So these are life principles actually playing out in the larger society. These are lying in you also, hidden in you. These capacities lie hidden in you also. Like when I meditate, I get so many insights which are Uranian in nature. Like when I was saying 1 plus 1 becomes 0 or 2, and what is that? Is Uranus only. Creativity. Why you are saying 1 plus 1 is 2 only? Because Saturn is earthy planet. No, count. You count. But I don't want to count. I want to create. I say why you want to count. There can be other ways also. Saju joined us late. I don't know. He's perplexed. But Raj, you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Raj, you can tell Saju what you have been doing last 1 hour. Maybe he can summarize a little bit for him.
Absolutely. So, Shaju, welcome. Good to see you.
Hi.
Yeah. So, Shaju, today we started this session with some of the important concepts. We started with neurons, how neurons connected each other to learn a new skill. For example, if driving is a new skill that you're going to pick up, already there is no neuron which has already built in your brain. So these neurons will come together while you learn this skill, and there is a myelin, which is one of the chemicals which will make the bond between these neurons, and it creates a thin sheet on top of the neurons and seals it. That way, when you have to drive next time, you don't have to learn from the beginning. So these neurons will continue to develop. As these neurons become stronger, your driving skill will enhance, and at the same time, if neurons understand that driving is an important skill for you or important need for your life, it will store it somewhere. Let's say, for example, you leave driving for 15-20 years, you don't drive at all, and then you come back. So still that neurons are connected. It has, though the skill is little rusted, but it has not completely gone out of your memory system. So that way, sir gave an example of how these neurons will become stronger, and why some of the managers in the organizations, some of the leaders in the society, and some of the students in the class, how they differ from others, because their neurons are stronger, because they have got some learned skill. That way, they're able to pick up things quickly, and they can respond quickly. They can come with more solutions, more mental resources than others. So today, he called it as neural patterns. People who can bring in more solutions, they will have more neural patterns than people who will come with only one or two solutions. Maybe they have got only one or two patterns in their mind. So that way, today I understood the importance of having more neutral patterns in our mindset to solve more solutions.
So which means exposing ourselves to more situations, trying to learn more skills, reading more books, not wasting our time on fruitless activities. It's very important. So one reason why we should not waste time, why we should use it for learning new productive skills, productive purposes, right? Okay. That was one thing we discussed. Okay.
Right. So then we connected that neural pattern topic to the maturity in terms of how that maturity suddenly brings in limelight. For example, we took the example of Abraham Lincoln. How, up to the age of his 50 years, he did not do pretty well in his in his career. He saw a lot of failures, but one fine day he did not attain that maturity just like that. He went through so much of failures. He accumulated so many learnings out of it, and it shows the quantum development of how a person transformed from stage A to stage B and suddenly become world famous and be one of the influential personality in the US. So that way, sir and I were deliberating in terms of how people can explain this phenomena, in terms of how suddenly somebody becomes, how that maturity came in. Yesterday, this person showed immaturity in some of the aspects of life, but today the same person is coming with a lot of maturity. So we connected that back to the neural patterns. And moving towards, we also start speaking about how Sanatana Dharma believes in the longevity of soul. For example, today, when we speak about injustice or justice, for example, we see one person that, hey, this person is very nice, but why he is going through a lot of trouble in his life? He has not done anything wrong. But in Sanatana Dharma, we believe that the soul has traveled, taken multiple births. We don't know what this person did in the previous birth. It's very difficult to decode. So the longevity of soul is more in this life. Hence, we have got limited visibility towards others in saying whether this person is being justified or unjustified. And sir also gave two examples from Sai Charitra. He narrated two stories in terms of how a person in Mumbai, who is very close to Sai Baba, he takes his brother-in-law who was struggling with the lung-related issues, probably something like tuberculosis or something of that sort. When he takes his brother-in-law to Sai Baba, while Sai Baba had limited people around him, not many people, but still he ignores this person, both of them. And then in between the conversation, he picks up and says, I've got something to do with my lungs. That is when Sai Baba utters that, hey, he had murdered somebody in the previous birth. So he stops it there. But in the same night, the person gets the dream in his sleep, and he gets to know that the person suffering with lung related disorder, he had gotten killed somebody in the previous birth related to some land acquisition or return of the money or something of that sort. he uses a horse cart, and the person was tied to the ground, and a horse cart wheel would run on the chest of this person. So the significance in this lifetime of going through that pain was attached to the previous birth, is what has been referred to in
He was
psychology.
destined to die of tuberculosis, very
Yeah.
painful death, because of this sin that he had done last time. Because his victim had died of chest, no, bones cracking and very painful sudden death. That karma was not being repaid in this lifetime through this illness. Okay.
Sure.
But he was a good person in this lifetime. He did not remember why he is going through such a horrendous illness.
Actually, I think, sir, in Ayurveda there is a state. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I visited. I had a disc issue, a backbone issue. So I took Ayurveda treatment. So in that doctor's house, it was displayed. While you meet the doctor, there is a description on the top of it. Purva janma kritam papam vyadhi rupena jayate. Your previous birth papas will chase you in the form of diseases. That is Ayurveda's belief.
Yeah. So we were discussing this example. Yeah. Yes, Raj.
Sure. And sir also picked up another example from Puttaparthi Sai Baba's devotees, this one, Leaf of Collections, wherein one female was going through cruelty and treatment, ill treatment by her husband, because her husband was listening to her mother-in-law. She starts writing to letter to Puttaparthi Sai Baba. Those days back in his time, those physical form of letters, sending letters through post offices, that was prevailing. So Sai Baba would write to her stating, hey, don't leave that person, don't leave him, don't leave the marital life. You stay with him and try to, marriage is sacrosanct and you should not leave marriage and go out. So that way, sir and I were discussing about one topic, which is Saturn being the law of, god of karma. And we interpreted that Puttaparthi Sai Baba would have seen the higher level of law than what we see, the divine law, meaning the person has to go through the karma of the previous births.
Like worldly law says we can take divorce, right? Worldly law says we can take divorce, but Sai Baba is explaining that don't take divorce, don't go for that. You live through this karma. You are destined to live through this karma. Marriage is made by God. Okay, that's the idea. Okay.
Yeah. And we also discussed, sir also gave perspectives about two types of lives. One, life as is given by the God, that is God's nature, that is law of karma. Other one is the human interventions, wherein we are creating a lot of obstructions. He gave an example of an ant is going on the road and a person going on the scooter. And ant belongs to the jungle, but scooter doesn't belong to the jungle. Meaning jungle meaning God's creation. Ant belongs to God's creation. The person riding the scooter belongs to the God's creation, but scooter doesn't belong there. The scooter came in from the human intervention.
Science, no? Science created.
So that way, so we are creating difference between God's creature versus the human intervention. So two examples that we took, and we also spoke about how earthquakes are killing people.
No, so what we discussed was that the ant did not die because of God's will. In God's will, scooter was not created. So that is a violation of the nature's law, nature's principle. We also discussed people dying in earthquake, people dying in a train accident. So if you look at everyone's horoscope, everyone was not destined to die that day, as per the horoscope, or as per the hand's lifeline. But people die. So that is a violation of nature's principle. So why? Because human interventions have come, human contamination of the nature's laws have come. So that is why calamities are escalating. God did not plan that Earth should stop supporting life so quickly. Let's say if Earth stops supporting life in 200 years from now, it is basically man-made disaster, not God's ordained will. God may have ordained that Earth should support life for millions of years. Right? That is what we were discussing. So it's God's will or God's principles or nature's principles versus man's creations and man's, interventions in nature. That is what we were discussing. Because we are living in man's society, human society. What is our dharma? That is the conversation trying to understand. Okay. How should we progress? How should we live in this kind of a situation? But let us first understand the situation. Right? Okay. It's a very deep exploration. It may continue in future classes also. It's not so easy to answer. But yes, more and more clarity will come as we go along. Okay. Yes, Raj?
Yeah. So yeah, Shaju, in the same example of two types of lives, God's nature and human interventions, Sir also gave the example of how Lord Krishna, during his conversation with Duryodhana, he says, no, let us not. Krishna's willing was not to go for war. He says war is not required, but Duryodhana opts for it because Duryodhana, being a human, he wanted intervention. He exercises his free will, and he chooses war. So, which creates so there was again two lives, right? God's nature versus the human intervention, which created the war.
God doesn't want war, but Duryodhana wants it, which is human intervention. Right?
And we humans, we almost destruct everything, and then we complain about God. For example, water is polluted, air is polluted, certain species of plants are not available. So we never thought of those before killing all those plants or before cutting the trees and all. But now going back and blaming God is not the solution, because God never wanted any of these things to happen. And yeah, we also spoke about the past birth experiences. Sir referred one book, that's Many Masters, Many Lives. And today he added another, last time also Sir had given one book name, that is The Infinite Way from Joel Goldsmith, which talks about co-creation of things with God. See how people are separated from God versus how can we co-create things. For example, if we apply Dharma to every aspect of life, what we do as a student, as a teacher, as a human, if we follow the Dharma in our own areas of things, we can co-create so many things and leave things as is versus creating destructions. And yeah, we came to the topic of wisdom. Wisdom is one of the important qualities.
So Joel Goldsmith says that if we could live in the God's world, there will be no pain, no misery. Pain and misery are human creation, not divine creation. That's what he says. Because in the Omni will, there is no pain, no misery. Omni will only wants celebration of life, joyful existence, coexistence of man and every other creature. It is our own foolishness and inability to understand God's nature that we have brought about all these problems on our head. That's what his main thesis is, and he proves it in many ways. His whole life he kept on teaching this. So very powerful teacher based on Christian. He was a Christian science teacher. There is an area in Christianity called Christian science. So this Christian science faith actually they believe in faith healing. So Joel Goldsmith himself was a great faith healer. So there are hundreds of examples. Anyone brought to Joel Goldsmith suffering from any illness used to recover. Even supposedly incurable illnesses, cancer and such things, when they were brought to Joel Goldsmith, they used to recover. All of them. All of them used to recover. And there are many cases like because of this only, very few people know about him. Anyone who knows about him knows him mainly through word of mouth. Because he never tried to advertise for himself. But he became well known because of his attainments, spiritual attainments. So then he also started teaching, his consciousness. Like he is trying to share his consciousness in many books. I have almost all his books on my Kindle, and though I have read only a few of them, but I understand what he is teaching because I reach similar kind of conclusion in my own path. So in many ways, I know what he's teaching because I have read a few of his books, and I am trying to share the same thing actually again. So there are many, many similarities between Joel Goldsmith's understanding and my understanding. Though he was a far more advanced soul than me, I must admit that. Okay, but I understand what he's trying to teach. And I am in many ways trying to learn what he taught. But not by reading his books, but through my meditative unfoldment. I'm on the same path, it seems. By divine will, I'm on the same path. Okay, where I have reached the same conclusion, which I'm sharing through my classes. Okay, yeah, Raj, continue.
Yeah, and just before you joined, we were speaking about wisdom, how it's one of the important qualities. It was actually connected to our previous session as well. And power of observation and one's ability to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong, what is dharma and what is adharma, what is justice and what is injustice. Then Sir also started talking about the planetary combinations plus the various houses in the horoscope, how they are connected. Example, sixth house is for service, eighth house is for the deep research and science, and 10th house is for job. So we focus on sixth house, eighth house, 10th house to attain wealth, which is a second house. This is represented in astrology. However, we do not spend much time or do not focus much on the house of dharma, which is ninth house, where Jupiter is the lord of dharma. So Jupiter wants everyone to be together and Jupiter wants everyone to be inclusive. But people are more focusing on other aspects of wealth generation and so on. So that is where we were discussing.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Raj.
yeah, so I mean, Jupiter also brings luck and grace, right? Planet of luck and grace. So what is luck and what is grace? Luck and grace basically represent God's mercy on us or God's love for us, right? So if we are loved by God and if God likes what we are doing, it comes to us as luck and grace. Like, Sai Baba example I gave, that brother-in-law who was destined to die of tuberculosis, he received Sai Baba's grace and he recovered, right? He did not die in that lifetime. He suffered the pain only once in his dream. That when the horse cart ran over the chest of that person in the previous lifetime, he was made to relive that experience this time as the person on whose chest the horse cart has gone. Are you following, Raj, what I'm saying? In that lifetime, he had made that victim to experience that pain. In this lifetime, he's suffering because of that karma.
Right.
Now, Baba, he's requesting Baba to rid him of this disease. Now, what Baba can do? Now, Baba has to rid him of his disease by helping him suffer the consequences of that karma with the least possible pain. So, what is the best time to inflict that? When he's sleeping? There's no anxiety, he's totally relaxed. So, a dream he sees in which he sees his victim tied down to the ground and a horse cart is coming, and this person, victimizer, who is suffering in this lifetime, is sitting there and watching. But when the horse cart crosses the chest of the victim, this victimizer who is dreaming in this lifetime, he suffers the pain, horrendous pain in the chest for some minutes, and he also vomited blood in the dream itself. Okay, but then the illness got cured. You can imagine that the pain this guy would have experienced would be not even 1/10 of what the original guy would have experienced, is it not? Because he's experiencing it in the subtle body. Subtle body, the dreaming body, subtle body, and that person experiencing the physical body. So his pain is nothing compared to that person's pain, and his bones would be crushed. No, all his chest bones would be crushed. Can you imagine what a painful death it would be? Simply crush someone just like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was grace only. So Sai Baba represents what? 9th house in this case. Do you follow what I'm saying? Healing through spiritual intervention.
Right.
A great master is bending the laws of divine physics to heal this person. But Newton's third law has to be obeyed. No, for every action there is a reaction. So you have to balance. No, balancing is required. You can't escape just like that. So that is also a science only. So we are focusing too much upon the worldly science which 8th house represents, and we are forgetting the holistic science which Dharma actually means. So technology should be brought under the ambit of Dharma. That's what I'm trying to say. It is a very important point, very dear to my heart. So, but unfortunately, we are not able to discuss in such a holistic manner in modern times because in the name of secularism, we are barred from bringing such points. We don't study and we don't teach. So one of my goals in life and one of my dreams in life is to teach this astrology, which I have in my mind so powerfully that people are forced to, see the logic. And one day I hope to start sharing this, but I don't know when it will be, because right now I'm stuck with a job which is a different type. I want to come out clean and start sharing this to the public. I don't know. Any question you have, Raj? Then we can explore that, because we discuss so many things, right? And all of them are stemming from previous 2 classes.
Yeah.
Right. So justice, we had started with justice, and that is how we came to this place.
Right.
Then,
Yes, sir.
so everything is just only if we have sufficient breadth and depth of vision. There is no injustice. There is either natural justice or human intervention induced aberrations. Like, for example, people earning interest on interest, or people earning money through stock market appreciating the price of some stock. Now, that is not natural gain. That is not natural gain. Such wealth is not natural in nature. In astrology, we have Rahu, which is basically governing such things. In fact, a very interesting discussion, is what is Rahu? One way Rahu I understand is every gain that we have gained through technology is Rahu. But Rahu never gives you anything free. For example, you are riding a scooter or a bike or a car, right? What is the result? You suffer from physical illnesses related to unfitness. The body becomes unfit. Now you can't walk 5 miles. 100 years ago, people could walk 5 miles just like that. But today we can't even walk 1 kilometer without losing our breath. So isn't it a price we are paying for technology? Which is more enjoyable, to have a very beautiful and healthy body till age 80, till age 90, or have a sick body at age 30? So for the pleasure of driving a car, you have foregone the pleasure of riding a very beautiful and wonderful healthy body. So you see, a dharmic gain is compensated by physically sick body. How about that? How about that? You save time because you drive a faster vehicle on the one hand, but on the other hand, you fall victim to a sick body much before the normal time. So you lost so many years of healthy life because you gained so many minutes of extra time by riding faster. Is it a good business, bad business? I don't know. But then, you know what I'm saying. So there is no free lunch in the universe. You gain somewhere, you lose somewhere. So how it is unjust? Telling it's not unjust. But you can tell that, sir. But earlier people used to die earlier, and because of medicine we are living much longer. But is this life? That you are dragging your body somehow with the help of antibiotics and drugs and tablets and injections and whatnot. I will live 50 years, a very vigorous life. You will live 100 years, out of which 50 years are in great pain. What is the use? And also, what if I use the 50 years extra given to me because of medicine, in creating all kinds of bad karma? If God has not given some capacity to someone, there may be some logic behind that. This guy is dumb. Why he is dumb? Could he have misused his voice or speech in the earlier lifetime? And hence he has lost the power to speak. What if you restore his voice? Maybe he will produce a lot of bad sound, lot of bitter and angry sound in this lifetime, hurting so many people. Maybe by keeping quiet, he will escape all that bad karma. Who knows? One way to interpret this example is, let's say you are deaf and dumb and very stupid. Everyone is laughing at you. Whole life you suffer humiliation. But what if you were the guy who humiliated all these people who are surrounding you in the many lifetimes? And by simply being born as a dumb guy, you are repaying the sins for 10 births to all these people in one lifetime. So it's a good business actually. You are absolving yourself of all this karma in one lifetime of being a deaf and dumb and a very stupid fellow. I don't know, Raj, do you follow what I'm saying? It may look very weird to many people, but law of karma may be working like that.
Yeah.
Because these people get the joy of laughing at him, and he is able to pay for all the humiliation he heaped upon them.
Correct.
So both parties get satisfied. Things I had given one more example, from my personal life. I had a phobia of getting saved in a saloon. If anyone brings a razor to my neck, I used to get jitters. And then one day I had seen a dream in this lifetime, 10, 12 years ago, in a Timidai, where someone had slit my throat. Maybe a past life memory I had relived. And after that, this fear has become much, much subdued. So we are, souls, we are coming from many lives. So you can read this book, I'm suggesting once again, Many Lives, Many Masters, and other books by Bryan Weiss. Very fascinating case studies you can see from that. One case study which I, again had registered with me from one of his books, One Soul, Many Bodies. Yes. So in that book, he has same author, Bryan Weiss. He gives an example of a certain lifetime where one person is taking so much care of some other person that other person does not develop his own independent will and ability to reason. Became very dependent upon this person. Okay. In a parenting relationship or something like that. So as a result, overprotective parent. And as a result of that, the other person does not grow much psychologically. So in this other lifetime, this person who was overprotecting in a previous lifetime is made to have a life where she is wheelchair bound. And the dependent party in the previous birth is taking care of this person. So see how law of karma works. You had made that person psychologically dependent or psychologically invalid, and as a result, you have become physically invalid in this lifetime, and the dependent person is taking care of you. You see, but if you knew this, that my overprotecting my child is going to produce this type of a lifetime in the future, would you do that? Which again connects with our earlier discussion about relationships. Our dharma in a relationship, even with a child. Where I told I am not 50%, I am more than 50%. Even in that case, I have to understand that my only job is to help the child to grow. And once the child grows and becomes a mature adult, we have to let go. And be less controlling, give them more space to take decisions. So even from law of karma perspective, these things make sense. Autonomy, psychological autonomy, independence of thinking. Divine wants to give these qualities to us. Only thing it wants is that we should not misuse these qualities. This freedom of will, we should develop and we should use intelligently, but we should not misuse that. That is the privilege of being a human and responsibility of being a human. And law of karma, it seems, is teaching us how to be traveling the middle path, where we develop our consciousness, but we don't trespass into divine principles, divine laws. Both. I remember once when Rohan was younger, he had told me, and I had agreed with him. I still agree with him. He told, Papa, I think technology is good, but technology should be used only to bring us out of the jungle and have a good city life or a good village life. Beyond that, technology may be not so useful. Rohan is in the meeting. This he told me 10 years ago. So I would like to hear from Rohan what he thinks about this now. He may have forgotten also. I don't know. I'll ask him. Rohan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
You remember this conversation I had with you long time back?
Kind of.
You can switch on your video and tell what you think about this.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't recall the exact conversation, but I think I do recall that I mentioned it something. Not exactly this, but what I remember is like technology in over abundance is not good. Like it's only good up to the point that we got control of our own lives from our circumstances, like forest conditions or very dangerous conditions. Where we, as humans, don't really have much control over our own lives because like we're not very strong like many other species. But we have one thing that's going for us. That's our brain. So till the point where technology got us out of the jungle, got us on our feet, got us independent, it was good. But after a while, now that what we're trying to do now with technology is like an artificiality. We're not really trying to mimic any natural structure, nor are we helping any natural structure. We are just building upon something that is already an abstract artificial concept. Like society as a whole doesn't really exist in any other animals kingdom, but we are building on that and all that, really building on our hierarchy using technology. So technology becomes more of a means for control and power than actually helping people. So I think technology, I think, is good, but it's like it needs to go back to its roots of helping people. Is what I think I said or something.
People's well-being is most important. Technology, to the extent is helping us to attain that well-being, is useful. But once it starts to disturb the well-being, it's not so useful. So this is one very important argument for AI being used in a constructive manner. For example, in the coming times, this will be a very important discovery by man that AI is useful only if we use it responsibly to the extent it enhances the human well-being. Okay. But if AI starts to destroy human well-being by destroying employment, destroying people's income, and destroying this joy of gaining knowledge, destroying the value of knowledge. You see, when something becomes over available, when knowledge becomes over available, then that knowledge is no longer knowledge, that is information. It's a very, very deep point I'm making. I don't know whether you follow what I'm saying. Let's say that you ask a question to a AI, generative AI tool. It produces an immense amount of data. You may think it is knowledge, but it is not knowledge, it is information. And since so much information is coming to you so quickly, which you mistake to be knowledge, you may lose the art of gaining knowledge, you may lose the relevance or value of knowledge as a society. And the day it happens, you will confuse information with knowledge, which it is not. And that day, what will happen is that you will lose the sense of being human, and that sense of pride in being human, and the sense of pride in developing human knowledge, or sense of importance that knowledge carries. And that day, what will happen is that culture will be destroyed. Culture, because culture depends upon humans valuing human achievement, humans valuing human creations of art, human singing, human playing, human dancing, human essays, human stories. If AI can write better stories, if AI can make better painting, if AI can sing better, if AI can do everything better, then you lose the sense of human creativity. And you also lose the value for that human creativity. If some human can sing very well, you can ask, so what? My AI can sing better. Are you following what I'm saying? It's a very, very deep point. People who study only technology may not appreciate also what I'm saying. But if someone is exposed to literature, art, music, drama, they may appreciate what I'm saying. I don't know whether you appreciate or not what I'm saying.
No, sir, you're right. Meaning, if a machine is doing what a human is supposed to do, then it becomes very monotonous and automatic. Example, sir. So we receive so many phone calls, right? So if the moment you receive a phone call and an artificial recorded person is speaking to you, we won't feel like continuing the conversation. Wherein, if there is a real human who is speaking and who wants to talk to us, then we show interest. I think that inquisitiveness will go off if everything is done by a machine.
Yeah, humans are creatures of heart also, not only intellect.
Yes.
Technology is taking us more and more away from the heart. If AI can reduce cost and increase profit, I go for AI. Right, but the decision who is taking? The company is taking. And the manager is taking in the name of the company. But the company is the artificial person, not a real person. Companies don't have souls, companies don't have hearts. And managers also lose their heart and soul in the name of taking a decision for the company. And manager may think that it's my dharma to maximize profit for my company. So in a way, you see, this is how Rahu plays games with you. You do something which is adharmic and you just justify it as dharmic. It is the same, when people use utilitarian principle in a faulty way. There is a famous case for, Pinto Fire's case, Ford Pinto Fire's case. In managerial values and business ethics. So Ford company released one car, Pinto, knowing fully well that this car is dangerous for the customers, and many people died because of that car. And the company management knew about it. And they released because they applied utilitarian principle in a faulty way. You can go and have a look at that case, Pinto Fire's case. Something similar is happening right now, because AI and very responsible people, many universities, senior people, they are making this mistake. Most people are not able to see this point what I'm sharing with you. It is just because AI can do things better. So maybe AI is a better physician. It can diagnose the illness better. It can suggest a treatment plan better, and many people's lives may be saved. And that is a justification to promote AI, for example. So I say, okay, I agree. But then it's very important for us as a society to understand where AI should be used and how much, and where it is not useful to use. But then who will decide and who will implement it? But then, what happens is once the society's moral sensibility and aesthetic sensibility gets compromised, after that, it becomes very, very difficult to implement a law and to even create a law. It becomes very, very difficult to even help people understand the necessity for a law. For example, in India, a classic example is Film Censor Board. I don't know if you ask the modern youth to write an essay on the relevance and importance of the Film Censor Board and to what extent it is fulfilling its responsibilities, effectively. I will tell you, I have been teaching for so many years. Out of a class of 70, I don't expect even one person to write a good essay. I don't know what Saju will say or what Raj will say. I would like to hear you. Saju also, you also teach, right?
Yes, sir. So I agree with you, because those students like the parts which is in that movie, but when you ask them to judge the role of this sensory board, it is categorically everybody will say that this censor board is not doing their purpose at all. So that they will totally agree.
Now, will they be able to write a very highly nuanced and very highly sophisticated essay?
No, sir.
500 to 1,000 words on this?
No, sir, no. Because since they really do not believe that the role is performed in, at least in a minimum sense, then I don't think they won't be able to write an essay on this.
Even whether they will be able to understand the question, first of all.
Okay.
Why this is an important question? Will most people be able to understand? For example, do you understand? For example, don't get hurt.
No, sir.
But I am asking both of you, do you follow what my question means and why it is a question of tremendous significance, more important than building a Ram temple? This is a very important question to answer. Very important. Because censor board is one of the most useful and most important organizations for any country. This organization represents the trade-off between freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of creativity, and responsibility. That role belongs to this entity. It's that important. Where to curtail freedom of speech? Where to curtail freedom of expression? Why? For the sake of a sane and healthy society. It is a custodian of society's sensibility, aesthetic and cultural sensibility, cultural and aesthetic sensitivity. Recently, two movies came, 12th Fail, in Hindi I'm saying, in Bollywood, 12th Fail and Animal. Okay. One movie, 12th Fail, is talking about the struggle of a poor class student, student from a very economically deprived class, trying to make it big in his life by clearing the IAS exam. Very touching and very good movie, okay, made by a very accomplished filmmaker, Vidhu Vinod Chopra. This movie grossed 60-65 crores revenue. At the same time, this movie Animal was released, which is talking about an extremely violent character, which is portraying extremely violent and extremely sadistic character who is taking his hatred for his father to an extreme level, and this role is played by a superstar, okay, Ranbir Kapoor. And this film grosses more than 1,000 crores. And the value system that it is teaching the youth is absolutely rubbish. You have to watch the movie to understand. Extreme violence is portrayed as normal, as portrayed as desirable. And many youth may mimic because it's a very influential superstar. And they may think it is okay. And such a movie is registering 900,000 crores. And censor board is allowing this movie to pass just like that. In my understanding as a teacher, I will not allow such a movie to be released at all. They are dangerous movie, should not be released. It should be asked to, it should be asked to withdraw its application. Either change the movie completely or withdraw. I will not let it go. I will not let it be released. But since the movie is having such big stars and the makers are so powerful, censor board will not stop. Now I am reaching a little bit too deep. I don't think I should be talking about such things. But point is that this wisdom, this Jupiter, this discrimination is the most important quality. It is the very purpose of education. If today in Amrita University or in some good university, out of 70 students, if one person can't write a very good essay upon this topic that speaks about the education level, with or without AI. In fact, it's an interesting exercise. Today I'll tell Rohan, and me and Rohan will sit and ask this question to a few Gen AIs about this question, what I just raised. How good an answer AI is able to give, I would be interested to see. To understand how much sensibility AI has or how much educated it is in this respect. Easy to answer very easy questions based upon information, but more difficult to give answer to a nuanced question like this. A lot of human understanding is required. What is your hunch? My hunch is AI will flop miserably.
Sir, I was about to say that, sir, because even I use Chat GPT for some of the questions that comes to my mind, because I need to get some quick answers to the business problems, right? So mostly what I say is it actually aggregates very generic information from the society and try to give that information. And there is no a custom, there is no culture, there is no feeling or sentiment, emotion which is attached. I don't see that coming in as part of the AI's response. It is coming in as such, for example, so most of the people say, "Hey, how are you?" has become a pretty generic question. So when we see somebody, we feel like asking it, but we don't mean, when we say, "How are you?" So that kind of an answer I see from generative AI these days. I don't see that strong emotion where there is no principles of Dharma is attached in giving the answers. I think it's very templated, I would believe.
No, I remember, suddenly I remember one girl, I met her in Goa. I was doing one, basic lab in human process, BLHP. It's done by ISAPS, one of the, organizations which, related to OB area basically. So I met one girl. She was a student in one of the J. Krishnamurti schools. J. Krishnamurti, the famous philosopher, he had founded some schools, no? So some of the best schools in India are run by that JK Foundation. So she was a product of one of those schools. She is the most impressive 18-year-old I have met in my life. For 18-year-old, I have never met a more mature person than that. And that told me, I mean, gave me evidence of the power of J. Krishnamurti's idea. Because no, he did not believe in teaching, or coaxing to learn. In that school, no, the students are free to attend the class, not attend class, or if they feel like walking out, you can walk out. And they're trained to speak their heart completely without any censor, without any reservations. And very few students are taken, and teachers are not taken so easily. Teachers are interviewed in a very rigorous manner, and they have to be role models. Their character has to be exemplary, and they have to be very, very deep in life. They are interviewed by some very, very sophisticated people, and teachers are paid also very handsome salary. So it's not very easy to become a teacher in those schools. So it's a very elite type of school, very few students, very few teachers, but then really thorough education is given in a very enlightened atmosphere. So she was a product of such an education system. So she was discussing about her interest in life was touch. Can you believe touch? So the way men touch women, she wanted to research that in her life. And she wanted to bring that sensitivity to society, that a woman is not an object, but she is a living being. And you cannot simply touch a woman just like that. So you see how aesthetically and culturally refined a topic of research that is. I wonder whether many people will even understand her concern. Her concern is that women are not objects of lust, and that she wants to teach the society. They are a living being, they are a living human being. I was amazed at her sophistication. I used to have long discussions with her, and I was very surprised and very happy to see that at least one student I met who is really a good student. I have met very few good students in life. She was one of them. Are you following, Saj, what I'm saying? That is real education.
Yes, sir.
So I wonder in the AI-driven world, how many students will reach that level of sophistication, cultural sophistication, that sensitivity, emotional, because what is education ultimately? Is it only to train the head or also the heart, to culture the heart? Any education which fails to culture the heart is a failed education, to my understanding. Society depends upon citizens. Society depends upon culture, these two things. Okay. And it is culture which produces citizens. So if cultural sensitivity is eroded, which depends upon the heart's refinement, then you will not produce citizens. And if you will not produce citizens, then you will not be able to have a good society. There will be chaos only. Dharma and citizenship behavior are related. Unless citizens uphold dharma, society cannot run peacefully. Societies cannot become prosperous. That is why what Rohan told, technology and role of technology, and when to say no to technology. First of all, the purpose of technology. Such questions, if we don't explore as a society, then we are doomed. And even now it is not late. Even now these things can be discussed in schools, colleges, and teachers need to be trained, parents need to be trained, ministers, parliamentarians need to be trained. I think that a few books need to be written, and these need to be taught to everyone. Okay. When I taught MBB, I had written a teaching notes for the sake of my students, and I shared with them, and I was quite successful in my classes where I taught. But something needs to be done for the sake of society, I think. and in very unambiguous language, very simple, straightforward language. So my these sessions, on YouTube actually are an attempt by me to also share these things. I think I go a little bit too deep, but I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But at least, some people, they may be receiving it. I don't know. I hope at least. So maybe we can stop here for today. We had a very intellectual discussion today, I felt, personally. We have never discussed these kinds of ideas in our earlier discussions. But we started, with justice, and we discussed many things. We have covered quite a lot, I think, today.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right, sir.
Raj, what do you feel?
Yeah, in fact, sir, I was hoping that today we speak a lot about justice, but it also brought in some interesting aspects, some nice stories, and even the science topic, right? So especially the neural patterns, I never thought of it. Of course, I somewhere remember reading about the mental heuristics, where brain will always look for shortcuts. But today, the neural patterns, what we discussed was a new phenomena that I could take back. Maybe I'll mull over it a little bit and try to spend more time and understand how these neural patterns would help. Because this is significantly what I have seen, with my colleagues and as well. Those colleagues who are pretty smart, they're able to bring in more solutions versus other colleagues who can, who will struggle to bring in even one or two solutions onto the table. So that way, sir, we have covered quite a lot of topics today, which was multidimensional and important. Of course, nothing was random; everything was connected. Just that we went a little deep in some of the aspects of the past life regressional therapies, examples, and all what we discussed. I think those were pretty deep, which needs more discussion in our upcoming sessions.
How about these discussions about this censor board and role of censor board and why it is important, AI, and what Rohan said, the technology role? I think they are important things to discuss.
Absolutely, sir. So these are the social problems, yeah, especially even if we take the example of how the censor boards are operating in a country like India versus how it is operating in some of the countries like Canada, where the board is more strict in terms of what to showcase, what not to showcase. There are countries which will not even showcase the violence in the front page of the newspaper. So to me, that itself is a censor, because they want to censor the bad news when somebody opens up the newspaper. But in India, we put it as very top heading line and showcase it multiple times in the news throughout the day, which disturbs the mental balance of everyone. So that way, I think
even this understanding that people represent consciousness. Unless censor board understands its role as
Yes.
custodian of the nation's consciousness, you cannot allow TVs and newspapers and magazines and movies to tell whatever they like to tell.
Yes.
Are you following what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To get nominated to a censor board senior position should not be so easy. Only the top intellectuals, very highly refined individuals, deserve to be nominated first of all. They should be really educated.
Yes.
And they should really understand the value of culture and the utility of culture and the role of culture. And they should treat people, in a nation as repositories of consciousness. Unless you understand this, that is why I always use the word consciousness everywhere whenever possible. You are a consciousness. Sadhu is a consciousness. I am a consciousness. You see, everyone is a consciousness. And once the consciousness becomes conditioned, you can do nothing about it. That is where the role of censor board is important. That is where the role of teachers are important. That is where the role of parenting is important. So I remember in a recent, workshop I gave to some, 40, 50 school principals from various parts of Kerala. It happened in Amritapuri just a week back. So I had given one idea that, all the schools in India should create one new subject where in whichever language you are teaching, Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, English, doesn't matter, develop a list of 200 to 300 words, most important words which have a bearing upon culture, citizenship, human rights, etc., understanding of life, and teach these 200 words, 300 words over the period of 10 to 12 years. Throughout the school journey, every year teach 15 to 20 words only, not more than that. religion, for example, God, for example, Dharma, for example, technology, for example, relationship, happiness. Some words which you think are very important, and really understand these words in great depth. Such a subject is important. Why? Because these words, if you really understand in great depth, it adds to your holistic understanding of life. Because these words also tend to get connected, related to one another. Maybe that is how wisdom is produced or can be produced. By contemplating these ideas and connecting these ideas, you become very wise person. Your heart gets educated. This is education for the heart, what I'm suggesting. And it is not about what is right and what is wrong. It's not moral science. It is simple intelligence. When you contemplate what is a relationship, you will understand many things. Like emotions, love, hate, many things you will understand automatically as you explore the different connotations of this word. Or if you discuss citizenship, how can you live out rights and responsibilities in such a discussion? Or freedom, you will naturally discuss everything, right? The moment you discuss freedom, you can't miss discussing responsibility. You can't miss discussing human emotions of other people who are getting affected by your freedom. But we don't discuss these things. I don't see these things being taught. People study Indian geography, Indian history in this social sciences, but I never see such discussions. Yes, we are only interested in covering a syllabus, not in teaching people, right? Anyways, enough for today. I think I touched upon many different streams. Every stream can deserve a few sessions on their own. So it depends upon our objective. I mean, if you agree with me that we are in a way discussing everything which is possible to discuss, which enriches culture, let's put it like that, then we are on the right track. Do you agree with me, Saju?
Yes, sir.
If our discussion is adding to the culture,
Culture.
which can shape a country, which can shape the globe, then we are on the right path. Am I not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
I just gave that censorship board questions about Google's Gemini and Chat GPT. Should I show the answer that it came up with?
to which question, Rohan?
The role of a censorship board.
You can show. And also very quickly tell the summary because we are getting late little bit.
Okay, so Gemini.
See, Rohan already has asked the question. See,
Sharp.
I am very happy. That shows my parenting is quite effective. My boy could not contain his curiosity. Father raised a question, he became curious, right? Okay. Tell me, Rohan. Tell us.
Yes, I think you should be able to see now.
Yeah, your board.
coming up,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's loading. And you can also take us through very quickly in a minute or two what it is telling. If Rohan give the gist also because we can't read so quickly.
Rohan, to make it simpler, you can also type, give me a brief summary of the above content. So that way automatically it gives, we can easily read in 3-4. I think there is a conclusion, Rohan. We can go with that conclusion.
And you read that, no? Because font is very small.
So I can do that. Censorship boards plays a complex role in shaping citizens, especially in culturally diverse countries like India. They aim to protect individuals from harmful content while also upholding cultural values and national security. However, concerns exist regarding their potential to restrict freedom of expression and introduce bias. In India's unique context, finding a balance between these competing interests is crucial for ensuring both individual rights and cultural sensitivities are respected.
Okay.
His answer and this is GPT.
This was by Bard, huh?
Okay, it looks like this is very simple, I believe. The essay highlights the significance of censorship boards in shaping citizens in countries like India, given its cultural diversity and historical complexities. It emphasizes how censorship boards serve to safeguard cultural sensitivities, promote social harmony. It looks like it is still loading, sir.
It's still in the process of summarizing it. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Okay. Maybe it's a Sunday evening.
Like, ChatGPT had a much more complex answer, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, correct.
No, these are decent answers, and maybe it's a good idea to get these answers and start a discussion in the classroom. Maybe in future when I teach, maybe Saju, when you teach, you can use this technique also,
Sir.
because we can use even this AI to take people to more deeper waters. No, they should only look at it. They should not only look at it to generate information, but also to discuss such topics, right? We got basically the gist what they are saying. So, in fact, I am little bit surprised because their answer is better than what I expected. But I wonder whether a student can write even this level, mostly. Saju, what is your intuition? The best student in your class can he write like this?
No, student I suspect, but in fact, I expected a better answer from ChatGPT.
Okay.
My opinion is the reverse as yours.
Okay. So, which tells you what?
Which tells the answer sounds to be a fully articulated, a fabricated answer. It's means it just clubbed all the information which is available. Otherwise, I don't think ChatGPT was able to address this question in a systematic or a humanly manner, in an intellectual manner per se.
Someday, maybe I will one day discuss, the larger schema, what I'm trying to share. I'll try in a minute or two. See, the way I see a country, if you take, we have to be very aware that see what is happening with too much technology. With too much technology, life is becoming easy. Too easy. Right? When life becomes too easy, and when entertainment is available very freely and very easily, human mind wants to reject work and only engage in pleasure seeking. Right? Because humans and human minds become lazy. Between work and play, between work and fun, if you had no fear of losing your job, or fear of safety, or fear of a insecure future, how many people out of 100 will be working seriously? Tell me. If you had a guaranteed lifelong income, abundant income, and a lifelong security, everyone was guaranteed, let's say, and they can see it because money is just flowing like water in the house, and everything is available abundantly, and no crisis on the horizon. How many people out of 100 will be still seriously working and trying to expand their knowledge?
Maybe about 2-3%, sir.
And trying to contribute to the society? Very few, no?
Very few.
Most people will be busy enjoying themselves, indulging in pleasure seeking. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Because the human brain rejects work and goes for pleasure seeking. So, such a society where life has become very easy and people have become very lazy, the mind will gradually become stupid only, Human mind, average human mind will become stupid only. Because it's not exercised mind intellectually. It has not experienced a lot in life. It has not experienced a lot of diversity, complexity, challenges. It has not used itself to think about deep ideas in life. It is busy entertaining itself for many, many years. Such a mind, will it form many neural patterns? No, Raj, which we have discussed just now. It will be a lazy, stupid mind. So when the average mind is stupid mind, who will be ruling the political landscape? A very enlightened leader or an exploiter when people are stupid? Through the political system, who will come to the top? Exploiter or a very Very
naturally the
Who
exploiter.
is more likely to come up in a stupid society?
Exploiter.
Exploiter only, who can brainwash very quickly.
Yes.
Exploiter and dictator, right? It is not a recipe for a very successful democracy. Will you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Successful democracy depends upon enlightened citizen,
Sure.
which ensures the responsible leadership. Do you follow what I'm saying? This is my holistic thought. This is the overall thought. Now, given that, what is the role of schooling, parenting, and governance? These three things. Schooling has to make the enlightened student, right? Parents have to be part of the schooling process. Parents can't be ignorant, because in the school, teachers can take care, in the home, who will take care? Parents. It's a teamwork, right? So schooling and parents. And governance, what is the role of governance? Governance role is that the air in the country is floating the healthy and sensible information and healthy and sensible content for pleasure. Are you following me? You cannot allow all kinds of stupid and rubbish material to flood the television, the magazine, the newspaper, and the cinema hall, and the internet. So in this case, I support China when it tries to control the content. China, in this dictatorship, I agree with China that it's very important to control the content, not for political, subjugation, which it is doing, but protecting the culture is China is very successful in protecting its culture. Now we are very, very abject failure. And I worry that in coming times, we may lose to China, not because of being left behind in technology, but being unable to protect our culture. It's very important for national security to protect your culture. It's very important to protect the strength of character of the citizen to protect your culture, because Dharma strengthens the culture. And India is based upon Dharma. No other country is based upon Dharma as much as India. You will agree with me?
Yes.
Sure, sir.
So when censor board fails in its duty, out of this trio, one huge, it's like a stool with 3 legs. One major leg has become faulty. So I'm not doing these classes just like that. I have a certain vision in mind. I want to be a very, very influential teacher, which is trying to teach the whole country about role of different elements of the country: the schooling system, the parenting system, the governance system. All three go hand in hand. Are you following me, Saju?
Yes, sir.
That is where our research should also be guided. All the things that we research, all the things that we do, businesses should play their role. CSR is not only investing funds. CSR is also playing our role as enlightened corporate citizens. You know what I'm saying, Raj? People like you in the industry, you should understand this responsibility.
Right, sir.
So you have to educate your colleagues and spread these ideas among corporates. Corporate is an artificial entity, but the manager is not. Manager is a citizen first. He should be a citizen first. Why? Because who is the manager? He's a human being, right? See, in the overall framework which I teach in MBB, I used to teach, society is the biggest thing. Inside society, we have religion, we have the corporate, we have the government, we have the school, we have the church, everything, the hospital. Tell me, if a company makes profit and society's well-being is maximized, it's a good company. If a company makes profit, society well-being is harmed, it's a criminal company. Don't you agree with me, Raju?
Yes, sir.
Same with every other institution. If religion is making people pious and the society's well-being is maximized, it's a good religion. But if a religion is creating violence and hatred, it's a bad religion. So everything, every social institution has to be judged with respect to social well-being, human well-being. This needs to be understood by society. Otherwise, all these new things that we are embracing in a big way, like AI especially, will destroy society. Societies don't exist to support companies. Companies exist to support society. This is very important to understand. And today I am talking about society in a national context, but we have to understand society now means global society. Time has now come to talk about global society because ideas simply jump the boundaries and spread all over the world. Right. So what I am sharing today in English language, if we share it sufficiently powerfully, it will reach across all the countries and shape a new world together in future. So that is why internet is a very powerful tool. YouTube is a very powerful tool. Okay. So I think I'm trying to do my bit as a teacher. I feel last half an hour, 40 minutes of our discussion is very, very, very meaningful. I feel as a teacher intuitively.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Ever since we started discussing technology and this drift of thought that we are just having about censor board, it's a very useful discussion. We'll take it forward in next few classes. Because ultimately, what is the use? You see, if I develop spiritually and society around me is trying to pull me down, what is the use? We have to all grow, no? I have to grow and society around me has to grow. So that it's a synergistic growth for everyone, right? I will not like Sadhu to be, chasing money and chasing publications just for the sake of it. What is the point? Is it not? You were in the armed forces, right? As a soldier, you should be dreaming of contributing to the social building. You're fighting for the society, fighting for the country in a different way now, with a pen in hand.
Sir.
Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
That is what it is. We need to fight with a pen in hand, not with a gun in hand. One example I gave recently, which many students were very deeply affected, was in SAPG, that if I give a family of monkeys, very healthy monkeys, a gun each, and train them into shooting very sharply, everyone becomes sharp shooter. These monkeys are very healthy and very young. How long do you think they will live? Will they be able to live to their normal lifespan? Every student told that no, sir, they will die quickly. So I asked, just to is it because of their poor health? What will go wrong with them? No, sir, they will become angry. They will shoot each other. Every student tells the same thing. So I asked, what is the problem? So then, students could correctly say that, sir, technology which is in their hand is dangerous and they're not trained to use the technology. Then I asked them counter questions. Are you trained to use the technology? Are you not a monkey also? If you are addicted to the cell phone, are you not a monkey? So you know what is the answer? You know what I'm saying? So technology is not the solution. It's a part of the solution. Technology was supposed to make our life easy and comfortable. But if it makes our life too easy and too comfortable, where we become lazy and stupid, then it becomes dangerous. So if you want happiness, you need technology, but you need development of consciousness also, both. So that you are able to use technology in a humane way. Okay. So Chat GPT generated the answer. That is part of the story. Now the teacher should lead the discussion. What are the ideas which came up and what do these ideas mean? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
I love the last 45 minutes.
Very good session today.
Sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Bye.